is February 19th, 2025. Welcome to the Checking From Behind podcast. I'm your host, Zach, joined as always by my co-host, Preston. Today's the day, well, I guess tomorrow's the day, technically, as of we're recording. Four Nations coming to an end. We get a rematch of Saturday night's game between USA and Canada. It's going to be a barn burner. How are you feeling about that game? With the
I'm
U.S.,
excited. Yeah, it should be. I mean, the first game was kind of insane, especially that first period. I don't know if we'll see like the same start that we had on last Saturday tomorrow. I mean, who knows? It's definitely going to be intense. I think United States had something to prove last week against Canada, and Canada lost, and now they got something to prove. And they're the biggest rivals in international sports, in my opinion. I don't think there's any better rivalry in any international sport than Canada versus USA in hockey right now. Honestly,
you're not wrong.
yeah.
The USA and Canada rivals in general, like in any international sports, go hard.
It's mostly hockey that's the intense
Yeah,
part of
of
it.
course, of course. Hockey, and then there's also I think soccer is pretty intense too. I know neither of us
Women's
are big.
soccer, not
Yeah,
men's soccer.
yeah. You know, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
Our, the men for both of our countries suck ass.
They do. Their
Yeah,
ass
the
suck.
women's soccer teams are good though.
For both sides, they're really good too.
Yeah.
The rivalry for USA Canada, it is nice that we finally got best on best hockey. It hasn't disappointed. I'm not expecting the same fireworks and intensity to start the game tomorrow night like we did Saturday night. I think both teams are gonna really not let the emotions get the best of them. I know US, they were fired up before the game. Like there was a group text messages. I know Preston, you probably heard this, but for the audience that doesn't know, JT Miller, Brady Kachuk, and Matthew Kachuk, before the game, before they even got into the arena, started a group chat, and they were talking about fighting. All three of them would fight at some point on their first shifts of the game, and they did that. Of course, Matthew Kachuk first fight, Brady went after Bennett, and then I guess if those of you who don't know, Matthew Kachuk screamed at Sam Bennett and said something along the lines of "We're fucking going" or something like that. And then, of course, JT Miller, he crashed in that on the face off on the stoppage of play at Bennington, and then he dropped his gloves and kind of got worked by Pareko, who's by the way 7 inches taller than him. So whatever. I think tomorrow is going to be a lot more energetic, and I think we're going to see a lot more skill involved. I think this is going to be it's going to be just as physical, but I think both teams are going to come out and we might see more than just 4 goals scored.
I'm not sure. I think it's gonna be a really, really tight game. I think that the best way for Canada to win tomorrow is to keep maintain control, keep the speed up, because I think USA really took over. They controlled most of that game last Saturday. I know Canada had a fast goal, but that was a fast break on Connor McDavid, and no defenseman is going to be really fast enough to stop Connor McDavid when he's coming in full speed from the center ice with the puck.
Yeah.
I mean, just an amazing goal. I don't know if you can really defend that. But other than that, like they had a really sound defensive game. They did a really good job keeping things outside, and when things did get inside, they have a goalie that can make saves. So they got a lot to overcome. Yeah, I think Kel McCarr will make a really big difference in this game. I think Canada really, really missed him last week. He'll add like a lot. They're gonna have to respect the blue line a lot more. Not saying that the defensemen they had weren't good puck movers, but Kel McCarr's just different. He's a different beast. He's gonna make that power play a lot better too. They had Josh Morrissey running the power play one. Any other game, any against any other team, that's a really good power play one quarterback. Not against Team USA. You need the
You
best, and Cale Makar is the best.
Oh, he's single-handedly he's the top 2 defenseman in the league. The reason I'm
Top one
saying top two,
defenseman. He's
no,
the
I think
best.
Quinn Hughes is better. I think
No.
Quinn Hughes is better. Anyways, um, I said it on our live stream. By the way, we're gonna be live streaming the game tonight. When you guys are watching or listening to this on YouTube at 8 Eastern, tune in. It's gonna be a watch party. It's gonna be sick. But when we did a watch party Saturday night for the Red Robin round robin game, there was like what, maybe 2.5, 3 minutes left, and Kale McCarr could have been out there with Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, but he wasn't. And I was like, if McCarr was out there, I would be like, if I was US, I'd be like, not the US like the team in general, but like fans of the US would be scared that Canada could tie the game up. But without Kale McCarr on the ice, it almost felt like the US was going to win. Like like they got scoring opportunities within that poll, but it didn't feel like they were on the verge of full pressure, if that makes sense. Cal McCarr being on there for Canada is going to be huge. And you can always argue, oh, well, U.S. didn't have Quinn Hughes. Well, Cal McCarr was also on the initial roster when the tournament started.
Hmm.
So that's the argument you can make. And I don't think Quinn Hughes is playing tomorrow unless somebody else is out of the lineup, correct?
Well, yeah, because I know Charlie McAvoy has been ruled out for tomorrow. Who's their extra defenseman that they had initially that like they have to
Sanderson?
play?
Sanderson?
Yeah, so Sanderson is gonna have to
No,
step in.
oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
I mean, we can get into that in a minute. I think those rules are a little silly regarding injuries and
Mm-hmm.
extra players. Um, but I mean, has Sanderson played in this tournament at all? Did he play
Yeah,
on?
he played.
Did he played against Sweden?
Yeah, I think he played against Sweden. I'm trying to think if he played against Team Canada or not.
He did not. No,
Are we sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. I would.
Who did
I
he?
don't remember. I don't remember hearing his name at all.
Yeah, you're all right. I'm curious now. I'm not here to prove you wrong. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm like
So
99% sure Jake Sanders did not play like
you're
against Canada.
probably right. Um, because I know he was their seventh defenseman.
Yes. Yeah, because Quinn Hughes got hurt, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then they added him to the roster.
I wonder if they'll have it. Yeah, so he only had, no, that's 23, 24. Okay, yeah, so 4 nations, he only has one game. He played against Sweden. Who did
Yes.
he So McAvoy got hurt against Sweden. Who did he come in um for
I
the
don't know.
Sweden game? No, maybe I don't know. I Not that it really fucking matters. Somebody in the
Maybe someone
comments
was a
can let us
little
know.
banged up, and they were like, you know what, we got nothing to really play for. Just get right for Thursday.
Yeah.
That was a luxury team USA did have, I believe, like a Eichel and a couple other like their big guns sat out that game as well. I mean, I know the Kachuk brothers well sat out that game because we're banged up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. It was both Kachuk sat out, Matthew sat out. I think Eichel played,
Okay, he
and
probably didn't play much.
no, I highly doubt it. And then Kreider played instead. Trocheck
Hmm.
got hurt. I haven't heard anything on Trocheck, so I don't know. He took
Yeah,
the
because
shot off his hand.
they did call give Tage Thompson a call, and who else
Hmm
did there was another forward they
It,
asked to be ready, right?
um,
Or was it just let me look at the message Chris sent because he's been
yeah,
like
it's literally what I'm going
salivating.
back to.
Oh, Brett Pesci from the Devils for defense, and then Tage Thompson from the Sabres were called up just in case because I guess we could transition into this now.
Hmm
They kind of have some silly rules, I would say, regarding injuries and roster management. So typically, in an international tournament, the Olympics or like the World Championships or any really kind of international tournament, you kind of have a pool of a few players, like 4 or 5 extra bodies. Especially, maybe they didn't do this because like we're not going overseas. We're just going to Montreal and Boston. So
hmm
if they really need to come, they could just take a quick plane ride and like, they'll be on notice. But the rules regarding them playing. So like, let's say like they have to make a decision to make because if Brady Kachuk, I believe Matthew Kachuk and Austin Matthews are probably going to play
hmm
tomorrow. I think they both practiced today. Well, the day of a recording, the 19th. So that says to me that they're probably going to play tomorrow. Brady might be a game time decision. I'm sure he's going to want to suit up, but if he can't go, he can't go.
hmm
So then I'm assuming Chris Kreider would probably fill. You said Trocheck got hurt as well.
Trocheck got hurt. I haven't heard anything on him. Like when Mike
Neither have
Sullivan
I.
had the press conference yesterday, I didn't hear a single thing about him.
Well, I'm assuming nobody asked because I mean,
Yeah,
who cares?
that's fair enough.
I mean, I'm assuming then I'm expecting Brady Kachuk to play tomorrow. I would say, like he said last Saturday, was the biggest game of his life so far. I would say tomorrow is definitely the biggest game of his life so far.
The only way Brady Kachuk doesn't play is if he quite literally cannot skate or like be effective enough. Like if he's at
Or the doctor says like your life is in danger if you play tonight.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I
I
don't think
may
it's anything that serious.
no.
I'm sure he's just dealing with something. I mean, the middle of the season, he plays a really physical game. It's bound to
hmm
happen. Really, like there's been a really intense 3 game pool for all these teams, especially Team USA. I think they've been the most physical team out of everyone in this tournament. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove.
I also think that maybe him being out of practice today, the day before the game, could have been precautionary too, just for extra
Hmm.
rest. That could be a case too. And maybe we're just sitting here, everybody's overreacting, like, oh, he might not play, and then here he comes, morning skate. He's just skating on the ice. If they're even, I'm assuming there's a morning skate for these games.
I would
Um,
imagine so. I mean, the game's at 8. They probably don't want him sitting around all day. They probably want him getting loose,
get the
and
blood flowing and stuff.
I mean, they don't have a lot of experience together as a group. So you take the ice time as a group whenever you can get it.
Exactly, exactly. And I do think that it is really stupid too, like the whole injury thing. Like again, like you said, it's just Montreal Boston. Like, for example, Tage Thompson and Brett Pesci, they're just a couple out, not even. They're probably like an hour flight away from Boston, not even.
Buffalo,
Um
Boston's probably 2 or 3 hours.
no,
New
a
Jersey, Boston's.
flight? No, no, no. Flight wouldn't be 2 or 3 hours. Flight
I
would
don't
be
know.
like an hour and a
I've never
half.
flown. I don't know. I've never flown to Boston, but
But like,
I know
yeah, I
Buffalo's
mean,
a little farther away than New Jersey.
yeah, it definitely is. And like those two, like you can just get there in a few hours, whatever, and like no questions
Oh
asked.
yeah, no big deal. It was just the whole rule. Like Quinn Hughes is on notice that he could play. You know, if a guy is injured, which is ridiculous because I mean he was named on the initial roster. I don't know if there was some kind of a looper. Maybe they honestly thought he wouldn't be able to go, and then he like called them Tuesday night, like Monday night after the Sweden game. Was like, "Yo, I can play if you need me." And it's like, "Okay, just come out to Boston, and we'll have you on standby just in case." I mean, but he was one of the first players named to that team. I feel like he should be able to play. And no offense to Jake Sanderson, like the kid a lot, but I'm sure Team USA would much rather have Quinn Hughes playing than Jake Sanderson.
I'm also sure that if Jake Sanderson seems like the type of guy to be like Quinn Hughes, if Quinn Hughes can play, he can fucking play. It's gonna be.
I don't think he's gonna be like. I'm sure he wants to play. I mean, it's a
No,
big
I'm not
moment for
saying that he's
him.
not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, like
Yeah,
I don't want to be here type of deal. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, Quinn Hughes is the best defenseman in the league, so.
I don't. I'm of the opinion that the rules should have been set up that every team has 4 or 5 players set aside that could play any given night if a guy can't go for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a coach's decision or an injury. Like they don't have to be medically like kicked out of the game by a doctor to not play.
Mm-hmm.
Like because that happens sometimes like in international in the Olympics, especially with like 3 goalies. Is the third goalie even allowed to dress unless the
I
starter or the backup get hurt?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so because I know in the Olympics they'll carry 2 or 3 goalies, and during the round robin they'll play them like all 3 of them. They'll give them
Mm-hmm.
all like unless like the third is like you're like literally an emergency uh, goalie and you're not touching the ice. Because I mean, what if you make a guy like let's just say for instance, this is gonna sound crazy. Like let's say Matthew Kachuk has a really bad couple of games. I'm not saying that's a bad example. Okay, let's say Chris Kreider. Let's say Chris Kreider.
Okay.
You know, plays the first opening night. He's playing on the fourth line. He's playing like 7 minutes, 8 minutes because the coach doesn't really trust him out there. Should he be obligated to keep him in the lineup the next game? No, he shouldn't be. He should be allowed to just sub him out for one of their one of their extra bodies, and just say, "You're done. You're sitting tonight." Like Tage, you're playing tonight. It should be that simple. Same thing. Team Canada had some issues too with the whole like Harley thing, where he couldn't even practice with the team because McCarr practiced that morning, and then it was kind of like a game time decision about whether he was going to play or not. He ended up not playing, so Harley had to show up cold. Couldn't even skate with him. He had to freaking watch from the bench. That's ridiculous. You can't even practice with them.
That's the practice thing is what really gets me
Yeah,
because
that
not
makes
like
even less sense to me.
right, especially like if you bring in a player, for example, fly him in, and it's like okay, the coach is like, you might play, we might need you, you might just be up in the press box, whatever, like game time decision, like
Hmm.
the Kel McCarr Harley situation. At least let Harley's like even rotate with the bottom
Yeah.
pair defenseman just in case.
Or just even let him on the ice, just because
Cause
you're playing it with a group of players you've never played with
right,
before.
like I know
So I
Harley's.
know like in a week and a half this team's been together, they're not going to put together a crazy system. They'll come up with some game plans, and the players are all really smart. They're the best in the world, so that they know systems very well and they can jump in and out. But you got to build. It's about knowing how to play with your teammate because like it's very easily could have said like okay we have Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, and Nathan McKinnon all on the same line. They all play a very similar game, and they're used to being the guy. What if they don't really mesh well together? Now, thankfully, they did,
Mhm.
because they have high enough hockey IQ to understand like what my role is on this team, and they can all step up when they need to. That's the beauty of international tournaments, but not doesn't always the case. Sometimes you have two alphas on the same line that just do not work together
They butt
because
heads.
they cannot concede. Like I'm the guy, no, I'm the guy, and I feel like hockey players are a lot better than others and a lot better than athletes in other sports, especially basketball is one that comes to mind where you have like two guys that like are like the superstars and like just do not get along because they want the ball.
And then we
Like that
see.
doesn't really happen in hockey as much because it's much more team focused.
Mhm.
You don't have like 10 guys on a roster. You have like 20 to 25. So it doesn't happen very much in hockey, but it just could happen.
In hockey, it's very rare to see it, but I get where you're coming from. It could happen at some point, and thankfully, it didn't happen with Team Canada and I mean, I
It
guess
didn't
you
happen
could
with any
say
of the
Team
teams, yeah.
US too, right? Like, I mean, yeah, like you said, any of the teams that participated. And what's interesting is I know we talked in our preview, and it's kind of common sense that US had a ridiculous goaltending advantage. Do you want to hear something crazy? Is that Connor Hellebuck coming into tomorrow's game has a 957 save percentage. The next closest goalie is Bennington, and he's below 900.
I
And
would say Hellebuck hasn't really been tested. I mean, he had a couple of good saves against
Canada,
Canada.
I
The one
thought he was good.
I mean, he made the saves he needed to make. I mean, no one was stopping that McDavid breakaway. Like
No.
nobody. But he had a couple good saves. I remember Mark Stone had a really good chance right in front of the net. He had a couple big saves, but other than that, I mean, I don't think he really got tested too badly.
Honestly, outside of the first goal that he allowed against Finland, he's been pretty stellar.
I mean, you should be stellar in front of that defense.
I hope you are because if you're not, we got problems.
And that's what gets back to me like about the biggest strength for Team USA in the tournament. I thought that had them at a clear advantage over every team. That's why we both picked them to
Hmm.
win was goaltending. They had the best
And
goalie they had the best goalies in the tournament,
and
hands
it
down.
it wasn't like it was just by a slight edge. It was by a reasonable
Hmm.
margin too. We look at like you brought up in our preview that Saros wasn't having a good year in Nashville, and guess what? He's not having a good Four Nations tournament either. Now, granted, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Behind that Finland defense, I don't think
Hmm.
really any goaltender is going to put up stellar numbers, so I'll give him that. But still,
I mean,
though,
Finland fought hard. They didn't go away quietly. I mean, they did beat Sweden. They almost came back against Canada. That would have been crazy.
where'd they go? They went
They were down
one.
4-0 in the third, and then they scored 3 goals, like with an empty net, and they
Mm-hmm.
almost tied it.
Yeah, they were down. They were down 4-0, like 8
Hmm.
minutes left in the third or something, and they scored. Remember,
Yeah,
Grant
3 goals with an empty net.
Granlund scored 2 goals. I
Hmm.
think they were 26 seconds apart or something like that, or maybe even it was even
Oh
shorter
yeah,
time
they had the
frame.
Canadian team nervous for a minute. I mean, they needed an empty netter to. I mean, that was more of a collapse, I'd say, in the Canadians' part because I was working during that game, so I wasn't able to
Hmm.
watch it because you know the NHL just schedules games at 1 p.m. on a Monday because like people aren't busy,
Right?
uh, especially for an international tournament. But regardless, I lost my train of thought.
I like.
um,
Go ahead.
yeah, but yeah, from what I've seen, Canada like had a really good 54 minutes, and then they kind of
That
collapsed at the end. And another thing I want to bring up with Canada, it's been a pretty big debate. You brought this up last week when we were going over our preview for this tournament. Why the hell isn't Logan Thompson playing for Canada?
yes, dude.
No, seriously, like
Yes,
it doesn't
yes,
make any
yes.
sense.
It
If you
doesn't
look at his
make any
numbers,
sense.
statistically, he's like probably the second best goalie in the league this year. The only one that's better than him, I would say, is Connor Hellebuck right now. Like
I'm
just stat numbers wise.
gonna ask you this question: if Logan Thompson was a starting goaltender for Team Canada, would you pick Team Canada over Team USA to win it, or are we still edging it out the USA just because of
I would still
their
give
deep?
the U. I think the U.S. has the best overall roster.
Hmm.
I mean, their defense, I think, is also the best in the tournament, which I think is a big difference maker because when you have the defense where you can take away passing lanes, like we saw it in full force. Like I kind of called everything that was going to happen
Hmm.
in the game last Saturday with how USA was going to play Canada, and they did it to a T, and they played perfectly.
I'll give you
Like outside of that one mistake when McDavid came in full speed, like I don't know how you stopped that. I thought USA pretty much played a perfect game.
They were locked down defensively the
Hmm.
entire game, and outside of the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game, USA controlled the entire game. Whether
Oh yeah,
like
once
they
they
were,
got the pregame emotion out and they like got those fights in and a few big hits, they settled down. They
yeah,
started playing like hockey. Like okay, it's like okay, let's play defense. Like and as soon as they got up 2-1, it's like okay, we're playing lockdown defense the rest of the game.
And that third period, I have never seen a team play better defensively than Team
Hmm.
USA. And every time Team Canada had the puck in the offensive zone, you saw they created a box, and then they had one that they had the center in the slot and
That's the
everything.
biggest thing is they weren't afraid of Canada. Like they were not afraid of Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or Sidney Crosby or any of those superstars. Like they was like, I don't care. I have superstars on my team. We got Austin Matthews. We have Jack Eichel. I don't care.
Exactly, and that's been the big difference. They actually have risen up to the occasion. Team USA has.
And honestly, I don't think Team Canada played that bad last Saturday. I think the difference in the game was goaltending.
Yes, and Team Canada had opportunities to score.
Hmm.
They did.
And honestly, Binnington did have a couple decent saves, but then that first goal he let in that should never go in.
That was a doozy, dude.
The
Like
second one, I think it kind of caught him off guard. It was a little wrister rocket from Larkin, from like the
top
just
of the
beyond the top
circle.
of the circle. Like I don't know if he might not have saw it because it's hard to track those low pucks like that, especially when it had the speed it had on. It was like a little dart.
It was.
But yeah, that was the difference because Canada I thought played a pretty decent game. I think they actually outshot Team USA. Mind you, Team USA wasn't really focused on offense too much in the third period, but nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty even game up and down. It was just goaltending, and I think that's going to be what it comes down to for the game tonight.
Everything has come down to goaltending between these two teams, and I'll give you props for calling pregame. You called the score of the game. You said 3-1 Team USA. Of course, it was 3-1 Team USA. So good job on that, being a genie and being able to tell the future. I'm excited for this game in more ways than
I
one.
think it will be different
You
tomorrow.
you think different as like style of play, or like we think that Canada's gonna come out because it feels like Canada is pissed off that they lost that game too in front of their home crowd.
Oh, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't they be pissed off? I mean, they had everything in the world going against them. I thought Team USA did a really good job of letting that emotion feed them and take it away from Canada. Like we were during our live stream last week, we kept bringing it up all the time. Like this crowd is dead, like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know now the games in the United States in Boston, and it's going to be there'll probably be a good amount of Canadian fans there. Don't get me wrong, they're crazy. They travel well. Boston's not too far of a drive from Canada.
Correct.
There will be a lot of Canadians there, but I'm sure it'll be a feisty battle in the crowd of who's gonna. There will be more Americans at the game than Canadians. I'm
I
confident in saying that, but Canada will make their voices heard.
I hope there's more Americans than Canadians at the TD Garden, because if there's not, we have some problems.
Well, there'll be there'll be a
No,
decent amount of
yeah,
red
yeah,
there
of course, there is
because
going to
we've
be
had the World Juniors in Buffalo a few times, and the Canadians always
two.
fill the barn. Even the USA Canada games, there's a lot of Canadian fans.
To be honest, Buffalo is literally on the border of Canada
Yeah, I
compared to
get
Boston.
that, but I'm saying like anywhere, like especially like the east, because most of Canada is on the eastern coast.
Hmm.
If it's within a 4 or 5 hour drive, there's a lot of diehard Canadian hockey fans that will be willing to spend hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on tickets, and just drive up to Boston, spend the night, and go home the next day.
I looked up ticket prices yesterday for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Take a guess on like a little ballpark on how much they are for
So just to get in the
nosebleeds.
door, just to get in the
Yeah,
door,
yeah,
$800.
1,300.
Fuck that.
It was $1,378 was the cheapest ticket I saw.
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I low key, I was thinking, I know maybe this was a little irrational. I was like, you know what? If it's like $400 or $500, maybe I'll see if somebody wants to go with me. I looked, it's at 13. I closed the app right away, but I was like, nah, we're not doing
Well,
this.
after fees, it'll probably be like 1,600.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not surprised that it was. I don't know why I thought they'd be like so low. Thought maybe I'd get lucky, but no, not even close. Which is
I
nuts.
think if it was USA versus Sweden or Finland, I think it would have
Ha-
been expensive still, but it probably would have been in that $300 range. But USA versus Canada, that's must see. That's a
Nah,
must have ticket.
they're upcharging that shit.
Why wouldn't they?
Exactly. They're gonna get the money no matter what. Why not make as much money as you can?
It's like Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna witness something crazy tonight, so you're gonna pay whatever I want you to pay to get in the door.
Are you looking for anything specific in this game? Like, are there any storylines? I know I'm probably putting you on the spot here, but are there any storylines? It's like, you know what? I'm going to be focused on this one thing at all.
I mean, not for me personally. Um, I think this is the second time playing each other in a week. I think it will I'm not sure if it will be as intense. Like I could be completely wrong. I know Team USA was very, very, very fueled by being in Canada and all the political stuff going on right now. Not going to get into that, but I know that really did fuel USA. And I think it really did affect their game. I think that's why they came out literally swinging last Saturday. We'll see if that emotion carries over to tonight. I think some of it will. And then for Canada, I think all the pressure's on them right now. You're the hockey capital of the world, and you already got shown up in your house last week. They shut your stadium up full of crazy Canadian fans, and I would say probably the whole third period that stadium was pretty silent.
It was people in our chat kept saying that it felt dead. It like sounded dead, and eventually in the third period, we were like, at least myself, I was listening to the crowd a little bit more. I was like, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
Canada did, it was just dead. Like even like no like they had a scoring chance or two. There was no like it was just like complete silence. And I'm sure for Team Canada that could have been a little bit demoralizing as well as because like well we have to somehow get our crowd back into things, but we're not going to unless we score a goal. And then they failed to score a goal because Team USA was so disciplined defensively. I'm kind of going to be looking for how Team Canada responds to start the game. Are they going to come out and be high flying? Are they going to match Team USA's physicality, which I felt like at times on Saturday's night matchup that they didn't match Team USA's physicality, and it felt like they let them push them around a little bit. Is Team USA going to come out and be like, fuck you, and go out,
Mm-hmm.
and whether they score the first goal or whether they show Team USA we're not backing down, or is the same thing going to happen that happened Saturday night and Team USA is going to come out and be physical with them and Team Canada is going to push them back almost nothing at all, and then maybe Team Canada gets the first goal but then Team USA punches them back and eventually goes for the KO and brings it home.
See, that's my thing with Canada is you want to say okay, like I would say they're probably at their best when you're playing really fast, but Team USA can keep up with that. They have
Mm-hmm.
just as fast players, and the defensemen are a lot quicker. Because I think I love Drew Doughty. He's slow. He's a slow player. You can't really have him out there in like big money situations, um, just in general. And I think USA is really going to slow him down, and Canada's going to have to be patient. I don't think they were very patient on Saturday. You saw them a lot of times entering the zone, USA boxing them out. They maybe dumping in or get a really not a high scoring chance shot off, and then USA clears the puck. Canada's going to have to be patient and figure out how to wait for their opportunities. USA is really going to test their patience, I think.
Before we end things off here for our preview, I want us to do our predictions for tomorrow's game as well
Mm-hmm.
as who we think is going to be the MVP of the tournament. We'll pick one guy from each team for whichever team wins. That works with you.
Okay, so I'll have you go first.
All right, yeah. So I have Team USA winning this. It's going to be 4-3. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be tight checking. I think this is going to be a little bit high scoring than the last matchup that these teams had. I picked
Mm-hmm.
4-3 last time. I thought it was going to be high scoring, and again, it didn't. And if Team USA wins, I think Connor Hellebuck's going to be the MVP. If Team Canada wins, I think it's going to be Sidney Crosby who's going to get the MVP.
Okay, I think USA wins 3-2 in overtime. I think it's
I
going to
love
be a
that.
very tight game. I think if Team USA wins, it's hard to argue against Connor Hellebuck. Um, I mean, how many? He hasn't even had that many shots on him compared to other goalies. But
Oh, not even close.
yeah, well, he only played 2 games, so
Yeah, fair enough.
let's take that into account too.
How many total shots did he face so far in the two games?
47.
Okay, so it's like 22 shots a game, 23.
Yeah, and then Ottinger played 1 game. Had 23 shots.
Okay.
So, and he let in 2 goals. For USA, I gotta. I think I'm gonna go with either Matthew or Brady Kachuk. I think those guys have been like the biggest stories of this tournament, just with how much intensity they play. Then for Canada, I feel like it's got to be. I'm gonna go with Connor McDavid.
I like
I
that.
mean, Sid's had a really good tournament, but maybe they give him like one just because like it's your last ride, Sid. But I think Connor McDavid is the president and the future of Canada, and I think he's gonna get the MVP if he wills Canada to win because he's gonna have to play a big part of it if he wants to. I would say USA should be favored tomorrow, and if Canada wants to pull off the upset, McDavid's gonna really need to step up.
It is also hard to protect the project the MVP of the tournament too because it all honestly I think a lot of it weighs on how these players play tomorrow because like if Jake Gensel gets another goal or and 2 points whatever I can see him getting it if Team USA wins. Same thing with Canada, it could be McDavid, Crosby. So I think
Yeah, I would say especially if it was like an overtime game, like I would say like especially if it was one of those players that we talked about that already had a good tournament and they score like the overtime winner, I feel like that might just put them. It's like okay, they scored the overtime winner, like they already
right,
had like a really good tournament, like they have to win the award.
exactly. I'm with you there.
It's gonna be a fun game though.
I'm excited for it. You guys, if you guys are still listening and watching, let us know your guys' predictions for the championship game between USA and Canada. We're excited to hear it. We'll respond to you guys. That's going to be the end of today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, head over down to the description to our Instagram. Click the link, follow us there for more exclusive content, as well as the rest of our social media. If you guys are listening on Apple and Spotify, head over to our YouTube, subscribe, notification bell for more content, and we'll see you guys in our next episode.